Well, the SummerSlam show is one of the last times we'll see Lex Luger. He's not booked on the actual card, but he is going to be around for the main event on the babyface side of things. But very quickly, we have a problem with Lex Luger. He's going to wind up jumping to Nitro. You're not involved in talent relations at the time. This is on JJ's watch, right?
Yeah.
And I'm curious from your perspective, somebody who has been up and down the road with Lex for a long time, dating back to the Crockett days and whatnot. Was Luger sharing any of his frustration or unhappiness or anything like that with you, or was he playing
No,
everything really close to the vest?
very close to the vest. Uh, that was one of the issues that one could perhaps point to that that led to the locker room becoming strong Bret Hart supporters. Lex, I've always thought Lex had a good heart, and we're seeing that today. But he also was very introverted and very insecure. So therefore, he being so introverted, and he can laugh, I guess. Well, how can a pro wrestler be successful and be introverted? Very good question. It can happen as long as when the light comes on, the camera, that red light comes on, that they can perform. But he was very quiet, so I didn't get any intel from him on those things whatsoever. But you didn't take a detective to figure out that he was not happy. He was even more quiet than he normally was, and he seemed to be disconnected emotionally from the brand. And his dream of being the WWF champion was never going to happen. He realized it. Everybody else around him realized it. And so that great big push he had with the buses and the Intrepid and the helicopters, all that shit was just a memory. And it was a wasted, it wasn't wasted, but it was a experiment that didn't come to fruition. He had a hard time with that, and some of the boys, misery loves company. So if somebody saw somebody else uncomfortable or not happy, then all of a sudden private conversations would be held that would lead to bringing that topic up and adding salt to the wounds. It's sad to say, but that's kind of how the business works sometimes.
So when you find out, or how do you find out? Are you watching Nitro when he shows up?
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember if it was leaked or something. I don't recall exactly the details, but I think, I don't even know I was watching Nitro at that time. Now that I think a little bit more about it, but I know that I got phone calls, things of that nature. Did you see Nitro? Did you see Luger? Whatever. And again, he makes this great first impression. He looks great, but I wasn't aware of his contractual issues, good, bad, or indifferent. Like I said, you said earlier, JJ was in charge of that, and I'm not blaming JJ. I'm sure JJ wanted to take care of business and get the contract handled, but it just didn't happen. And I can guarantee you, Vince Patterson had Bruce probably, and I'm not pointing fingers at those guys. They had to be aware that this contract was up, and he was out of contract.
Right.
And that's, I had the same experience I had with Jeff. Just bad timing, and at the end of the day, it seemed like it was maybe meant to be. Hell, I don't know, but some people know. It just doesn't pop its head up. So, oh my God, I didn't realize this. They realized it. They knew, and maybe they didn't care. But I think the last thing they thought was that he'd just walk out and then walk in to the Mall of America in Minneapolis and be reintroduced as a WCW talent.
I'm curious to hear you've told me, or you've told the world a little bit about the whole Jeff Jarrett situation before with his contract expiring. But let's talk about here with Lex. When that happens, let me hit the reset button on the conversation. Sometimes when an injury happens in sports, that injury represents opportunity to other guys on the team.
Right.
If the starting quarterback goes down, now there's an opportunity for the backup quarterback to really finally showcase what he can do. It
Right.
created an opportunity for him. So when JJ is running talent relations and handling contracts and things like that, and this one apparently slips by him, at least that's the way it's been framed when Bruce tells the story on Something to Wrestle. Does an eager Jim Ross think, hey, there might be an opportunity here because the old man's not going to like that, and I kind of want to do a little more office stuff and dig my roots in here a little more? Does that even cross your mind, or do you not see it as an opportunity?
Didn't see it as an opportunity whatsoever. And I, you know, I have a hard time kind of coming to grips that with Bruce, and Bruce is there, and he's got the great defense that I was there. JR wasn't on the inside. It was Pat and Vince and I, blah blah blah, which is true. But I just never had I didn't look at it as, oh, this would be a great opportunity for me. Just didn't see it that way. And I also don't believe that JJ was the only one that didn't know. If so, then that was a major, major error. But JJ was always very meticulous and detail oriented. And a lot of the information, Conrad, comes from the legal department.
Right.
Hey, by the way, so-and-so's contract's up in 30 days or 60 days. I had all that when I was doing it. I had the whole roster, what everybody made, the contract start, the contract end date, all that stuff. So I'm not just being argumentative regarding Bruce whatsoever. I'm not sassafrassing his ass. Whatever the fuck that means. Anyhow, so no, I didn't look at it that way. JJ didn't get fired for that. Conrad.
No, JJ quit, by the way. Not here, a little later. JJ's going to wind up quitting. I didn't mean to say that JJ did a bad job or anything like that. I just know that you had challenging times so far in the WWF at this point. You were brought in to do commentary, and then they take you off, and then you're doing some interview stuff. And I mean, you're back and forth a few times where it feels like you're not quite yet settled into this good old JR black hat persona that we know now.
Correct.
And now, of course, you're regarded as the GOAT, but back then it felt like Vince was not all the way sold on Jim. And I just know enough of you to know that you want to prove your worth. You want to prove your value. You want to load the damn wagon, blah, blah, blah. So in my head, it's like, hey, you know what? If this slipped by, maybe there's an opportunity for me to help here. And
I see your point, but I didn't feel that way.
I didn't want you to think I was trying to angle to say, oh, take JJ's job. It's more of a matter of maybe I could be of assistance here. Because
I had no idea JJ was going to leave.
I see.
And JJ left after everybody on the wrestling side took huge pay cuts. And, JJ had a family, and he had a special needs child and young children. And the stress got to him. He couldn't make a living based on the pay cut. And, Bruce and I were together in South Africa when that happened. It was the weekend of Shane McMahon's wedding. And Bruce told me, because he was on the phone with the office a lot. And, JJ quit. What? So, yeah, JJ quit. And Bruce told me on the spot, to his credit, I want that job.
So
have at it. So when we got back, Vince created another job. Bruce got JJ's job, then I got the same. It's just a different title. So we had two of us doing basically the same thing. And the idea was Bruce would handle more of the creative stuff, and I would handle business, payroll, contracts, things, working hand in glove with our staff on the drug program, stuff like that. The shit job, having to give somebody a notice.
Right.
And so, and then, of course, then Bruce didn't like that. We know that story. It just didn't work out for that. My title was eliminated, and I was given. Then I got Bruce's job, which was JJ's job, which at one time was Patterson's job, and so that's kind of where that was. But Vince took care of both of us. That we're going to get a chance to spread our wings and help rebuild our department, because the same old stuff, there's nothing more important in WWF or any wrestling company than talent and television. And so we both bought into that concept, and
sure,
that's how that was. But no, JJ's departure was abrupt and surprising.
Let's talk about the write-up of all this Lex Luger jumping business from the Observer. Quote, even more strange about this deal is that in mid-August, McMahon and Luger had a meeting where Luger informed McMahon about the potential WCW deal, and McMahon gave him permission to negotiate. Without Titan's permission to negotiate, any WCW approaches to Luger would have been illegal contract tampering, and you have no idea how closely both groups watch their words in negotiations to avoid breaking the law and the ramifications, because the penalties are so severe. Given the environment that the WWF WCW situation has turned into, it's hard to fathom why McMahon would have given Luger the permission to negotiate at that point in time. However, it is still said after the original negotiations fell through over a large difference in money, Luger informed McMahon negotiations fell through and he was put in a semi-prominent position. He did the weird angle at SummerSlam and was a focal point of the Superstars tapings 2 days later. Plans for Luger were to have been working the next several months as the number 6 singles babyface behind Diesel, Shawn, Undertaker, Brett, and Razor before a possible or probable heel turn in early 96. Let's just time out for right there. When you were running talent relations, I understand part of the game is we got to have good guys, we got to have bad guys. And you need top good guys and you need top bad guys. They got to be able to work against each other.
Right.
But when I read the number 6 singles babyface behind, and then he lists guys, did you ever make a list like that in talent relations?
No. I mean, it was unwritten.
Yeah.
But I never made a list.
Yeah.
The thing about booking live events, Conrad, you went along with what the TV storylines were doing.
Right.
It was easy to see what was being prioritized. So whoever's getting the most television time in the most productive way, and had a marriage with some other talent on the roster, that's what would be booked on the house shows. I didn't go like, if Lex Luger had a program with Ludwig Borga on television, that's what you're going to see at the house shows in some form. So I didn't go all cold, because if not, you're booking cold matches in the house shows and expecting to sell tickets. Why the hell would that happen?
Right.
So no, I never made a list like that. That was, maybe I should have. I didn't that I ever recall.
I also want to mention the reason this war has heated up is, again, Nitro's coming up head to head with Monday Night Raw. And for years and years, the WWF has been so far ahead of WCW, they've lapped them twice. I mean, they're not real competition. But now, when it feels like, well, damn, TNT's a big station and they're going live every week and they're head to head, it feels like, okay, maybe we do have some real competition here.
Yeah.
Luger, even though he hadn't been the top guy, is a valuable talent. Meltzer would continue. The claim is that after Luger and WCW reached their verbal deal on August 31st, Luger called McMahon up the next day, but never told him about any negotiations or informed him of anything. Luger continued to work the Canadian house shows through the Sunday night before he showed up on the Nitro in Minneapolis. Luger never called McMahon after August 31st, and as of this past weekend, he still hadn't called. So
I have a question for you on that.
Yeah.
So Meltzer apparently is either talking to Vince or Lex.
Or Bruce or somebody.
Somebody, right?
I mean, how would he know that, right?
He did a deep dive. he unpacked his shit, and there it was. Yeah, I was not involved. That was a Vince deal. And again, I wasn't in the position to affect it, yay or nay. And I think that was and that's why I think Vince eventually sought people to reorganize that talent relations department. So when JJ quit, it gave Vince the opportunity to fix what he perceived that needed to be updated and reevaluate our roster. And are we getting our value for the people that we're paying, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where I came in, along with Bruce, obviously. That was kind of our goal to make we got to quit repurposing people. We've got to stop repackaging people. That's not new. People want new, as I said a zillion times. And we weren't giving them new. We're just giving them repackage. Again, that coat of paint. Teach them a new hold.
Yeah.
Get them some new boots. Create a new finish, whatever. But it was still the same person. And at some point in time, you just got to tag out.